Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is David Richardson. I'm a Public Information Officer with Caltrans District 12 in Orange County. And I want to thank you for inviting us over to give you a little presentation about the Ortega Interchange project. So the Ortega Interchange project is basically going to be a replacement, complete replacement and rebuild of the bridge. The bridge is very old. It's got a lot of geometric deficiencies because of the increase in traffic, and so it just has to be done. And so the project objectives are listed: congestion relief, traffic operations improvement. We're doing a lot of context-sensitive design. I know that you're very sensitive to those issues in this city. You can just tell that by looking at your wonderful city complex. So that's part of our bridge design, is to make sure we incorporate that and it fits well within the city, and to improve travel times. So the project funding is as you see, it's a total of $86 million from various sources. And here's the construction schedule. We advertised June 4th, 2012. We opened the bid in August 2nd. Obviously, a project of this size has a little bit of vetting for the contractor to make sure they can perform the contract. And so the construction started actually on the 19th. The 15th was a 3-day presidential weekend, and so the first day of construction was on midnight of that following Monday. And the project completion will be in 2015, and the plant establishment is basically a warranty for plants, make sure the plants take when they're planted and they thrive well. But there's no construction that's going on during that establishment period. So this is the current interchange as it exists today. There's some issues with the interchange that cause traffic back up into town. The biggest one being that if you're coming out of the downtown San Juan Capistrano and you want to go north, you got to make a left turn at the light on the bridge, which means you've just stopped all the westbound 74 traffic. And so the signalization issues that result from that kind of back up traffic into town. The other issue is that with the increase in traffic, we have a lot of cars that are exiting at the 74. And just the amount of traffic load means that we're storing cars on the freeway. So it's that condition where you have cars backed up and cars that are still on the main line doing full speed or passing cars that are essentially stopped right next to them in the lane. And so for safety issues and operational improvements, we do need to rebuild the entire interchange. So this is the project scope. So we're going to be widening the southbound off-ramp at the terminus of the bridge to provide more car storage, and we're providing an aux lane on the southbound that will allow us to solve some of that car storage problem on the main line. We're going to totally change the alignment of the west side of the bridge. Rather than it go down to the Mission, it's going to turn and curve into Del Obispo Street. And there was a significant amount of right-of-way acquisition that was required to accommodate that. Out of all of the build alternatives that were part of this bridge, the city worked with us extensively during this process, because this project actually started in 2000. The original PSR was in 2000, and the build alternatives came out 2009. Out of the 3 final vetted possibilities for the build alternatives, the city chose this one. And so as a result of that, those of you that are familiar with the area, the Jack in the Box was acquired, both Chevrons were acquired, the Arby's was acquired, and the Union 76 is also gone. So in addition to this, the biggest operational improvement we're going to have is on the east side of the bridge. You can see that loop on ramp. So now, instead of having to do left turns on top of the bridge and stop the westbound traffic, they'll be able to do a nonstop right turn into the loop on ramp, and that ramp has enough storage to carry the signalization platoon of cars that comes off the bridge when the signals change. So when the ramp metering is enabled, we should not have a situation where you're backing cars up on the bridge and stopping that westbound traffic. Additionally, the northbound off-ramp is being rebuilt. Same kind of scenario. You're getting additional storage, and so it should stop that northbound storage of cars onto the mainline freeway at rush hour. So we will have nighttime intermittent closures. Most of the work on this project is happening at night. There will be some closures during the daytime, but the intermittent nighttime closures are going to be from midnight to 5 a.m. during the week, and 12 a.m. or 12 midnight to 7 a.m. on the weekends. We're giving a little more time on the weekends. And essentially it's going to, at one point in time or another, every one of the on and off ramps surrounding the bridge will have closures. Unfortunately, in South County, it's not like North County where we have a lot of surface arterials to work with. In downtown San Juan Capistrano, we really only have two streets that we can use to detour traffic, which is Camino Capistrano and J. Serra, Junipero Serra. So as the Public Works folks know, when we detour cars off of the freeway, it's not a simple process. It's a engineered traffic management plan that's designed by transportation engineers, and we're actually making a bargain with the public that if my Aunt Martha comes out from Minnesota in the middle of the winter, that if she's got a sign that takes her off the freeway, there's a dedicated, thoughtful path that will get her safely back onto the freeway. And so these suggested detours are just for that. Local citizens, they're very familiar with downtown San Juan Capistrano. 3 days into the project, they're going to probably figure out what works best for them. But we do have to have engineered detours as part of our transportation management plan, and so we do have them, and these are the streets that are the suggested detours. Now, we are going to have some long-term closures. One of the reasons is we are making the bridge slightly longer, and the reason is we're preparing for potential future widening of I-5. It makes no sense for us to build a bridge that has to be replaced because 20 years down the road we want to add lanes. And so because of the extra length of the bridge, we need to get more camber so we can get the minimum heights and support the loads. So the new bridge will be about 4.5 feet taller than the existing bridge. And that brings with it some issues in that we've got dirt work that has to occur on both sides. And because of that earthwork, there's going to be some closures, full closures, because you can't literally have pedestrians and cars going through a construction zone that has bulldozers and earth movers and stuff working. So as part of that, we're going to have a northbound off-ramp closure, 3 weeks. We're going to go through some staging slides, and I'll show you how we've managed to do that to make it as short a period of time as possible. We'll have southbound ramp closure, 6 weeks. On the west side of the bridge between I-5 and Del Obispo, 3 weeks. That's primarily to accommodate that earthwork that's going to happen. And then between Del Obispo and El Camino Real, another 4 weeks. We will have some truck restrictions. As part of this project, we're going to keep the bridge open all the way through. And how we're going to accommodate that is we're going to saw cut the bridge longitudinally down the middle. And we're going to put all the traffic on one half of the bridge. So it'll have the same number of lanes. They'll be slightly narrower. We're going to demolish the south half, put in false work, build the new half of the bridge, and then reverse that process, put the traffic on the new half, and then rebuild the north half of the bridge. The truck restrictions are in place when we demolish the south half of the bridge. If you're, for example, southbound on I-5 and you want to take 74 over into the valley, your left turn now is a very much reduced radius because you're working on simply the north half of the bridge. And there's a slide coming up that makes it a little bit easier to see. So when we are utilizing the north half of the bridge, there will be a truck restriction, no vehicles longer than 40 feet, because we just can't afford to get something jackknifed up on the bridge and tie traffic up during that process. So this is stage 1A. As you can see, there's a lot of work down on the main line, mostly striping, setting of K-rail so they can do work behind the K-rail. There's some bridge abutment work that they need to do preliminarily before they demolish the bridge. And then you can see that the south half of the bridge, where they've saw cut it down the middle, will be demolished. This will be the layout of the bridge, the lane layout on the bridge with the south half of the bridge demolished and all of the traffic put on the north half of the bridge. You can see that you can still go straight through, but there's no dedicated straight through lines. And so for the people that are going to downtown San Juan Capistrano, very quickly they're going to figure out that this may be a bottleneck at some time, and it's time to start looking at other alternatives, whether that is Lenovia. And we'll go into the detours. There are a couple slides that actually delineate the detours for you. But this is the configuration while we're constructing the south half of the bridge. Stage 1B, if you look over on the right-hand side, you can see that we still have to leave the current off-ramp, northbound off-ramp operational. But what we're doing is we're building all the other parts of the bridge, or of the loop on-ramp and the off-ramp so that when we finally close this section down, we can make the connection, and we've reduced the amount of time it takes to facilitate that construction process. And also you can see the blue, that's where the false work and the construction for the south half is. So these are the closures. Northbound I-5 off-ramp. This will be a 3-week closure, and the recommended route is to get off at Valley Road to San Juan Creek Road, underneath the bridge to Camino Capistrano, up to the bridge, and then back on northbound. Or you can take San Juan Creek Road up to Rancho Viejo Road and get on in that direction. So stage 1E, now we're starting to, stage 1E is they've closed the existing northbound off-ramp. They've built the section that connects the two pieces that were completed in the earlier stage. They have completed the lower half of the new off-ramp, northbound off-ramp, so that cars can now use this new part of the facility. And they're starting, even though the southbound off-ramp is open, they're starting that dirt fill. So they're going to kind of do that like the bridge staging. Once they get that completed, they're going to flip the traffic over onto that off-ramp on the higher part, because remember, this bridge is now 4.5 feet taller. So if you were south on the 5 and getting off there, you'd be driving next to kind of a berm. And eventually we'll put lanes on top of that, then fill the part that we just took the traffic off of to get that completed. So southbound off-ramp, if we have nighttime closures, this would be or southbound on-ramp. If you're on the bridge and you want to go southbound, you would take Camino Capistrano to San Juan Creek Road and then on there. Or if you're coming from this side of the mountain on the 74, you could take Lenovia Avenue, turn left, get to San Juan Creek Road, to Camino Capistrano. And these are fairly short detours. Remember, most of this work's happening at night. So if you had real early commuters, that hit the bridge before 5 a.m., they would see some detours. But if you're there at 5, most of these are going to be open, except for these small little full closure windows. The other option is to go to Rancho Viejo Road, hang a right, and then go up to Junipero Serra, and then get on the freeway there. Stage 1F, we're starting that dirt work into the new realignment into Del Obispo, into downtown San Juan Capistrano. Remember, it's tapering from that new 4.5 foot taller elevation into the existing surface street elevation. And so as part of that, because they've got trucks working in that area, so there's going to be ramp closures there to Del Obispo, and these are the detours. And we did send this PowerPoint to you, so if you wanted to place that on your website as a opportunity to provide the information. There is some reconstruction, realignment, utility relocation. There's gas lines that are going through the bridge. There's some water lines that are on the east side, so we're working with the utility companies to get that done. There will be full closure of 74 just to the west of the bridge for 3 weeks. That's part of that earthwork to get the earth built up. And then an additional 4 weeks where we realign that street, El Camino Real, into Del Obispo from its current configuration. And so now in this stage, you can see that the south half of the bridge is complete, and we put the traffic on the south half, and we're basically doing the same process on the north half of the bridge. It's been or putting the traffic on the south half and demolish the north half of the bridge. Same process, we've just flipped it. And so El Camino Real to Del Obispo Street, this is a full closure, 6 weeks. And the construction is complete. This is the final interchange final lane configuration on the bridge itself. So you can see the loop on ramp is going to totally eliminate that left turn bottleneck at the light, so you won't have the traffic backing up into town. You got the additional storage on the southbound off ramp of the 5 into town with an additional lane at the terminus of the ramp. And the entire street west of the bridge is configured into that new alignment into Del Obispo Street. And this is a picture of the improved interchange. This is a rendering of the highway bridge. One of the nice advantages is going to, like I said, a lot of context-sensitive design as part of this. The current bridge doesn't have anti-climb screens on it. It just has pipe railing, so that's an issue that will be corrected in this design. So it'll be much safer for the public as they walk across the bridge. And as you can see, this is a rendering of the off-ramp. Lots of capacity. You know, as part of every project, it's a requirement that we produce a traffic management plan. That plan consists of public outreach, motorist information that we get out to the motoring public, construction strategies, contingency plans. We have incident management. Our Transportation Management Center in Orange County is constantly keeping their eyes on this project. We have an enhanced enforcement program, so you know, if you get a ticket in a construction zone, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And so all of those are part of the traffic management plan. And as far as outreach, we have always planned on having outreach into the Elsinore Valley. It was simply a matter of timing. The amount of issues that it's going to create for the city of San Juan Capistrano just meant that we had to go there first. We have schools that are trying to figure out how to get their students to school on time, and so during the closures and during construction, we're going to be putting traffic on city streets, you know, downtown. So as part of that, our public outreach started very, very early in San Juan Capistrano with the school board, the districts, the fire and life safety, all of those issues we're trying to get planned out early. The amount of trouble it's going to cause to the commuters from the Elsinore Valley side is really pretty minimal. The detours are right at the bridge. There's a couple of detours that you can take basically within a quarter mile of the bridge. The 74 will be open the entire time. There will never be closures. And one detour that is actually listed on the plan, we didn't sign it as a detour. Your Public Works Director will know that if we say something's a detour, that comes with some legal baggage that we have to make arrangements for. But San Antonio is a well-lit, fairly wide street, goes up into Mission Viejo, connects to Crown Valley. People that drive the route regularly are aware of that, and they will decide where they want to, which detours they want to take, or if they want to take San Antonio. So as part of our public outreach, we have a consultant, a dedicated community liaison. Caltrop Corporation is doing that for us. We're being very proactive. We've had, I don't know, 20 or 30 meetings. The Restaurant Council, Working Stakeholders Group, Fire and Life Safety, Chamber of Commerce. I have a Wednesday night meeting every Wednesday with people and the city leaders in San Juan Capistrano, and we are dedicated to having a 100% response rate. So if somebody calls me or sends an email or has a question about this project, they will get a response. So we a lot of outreach to the key stakeholders. We have social media, we have Twitter and Facebook. We have a dedicated web page for this project that has links to Google Maps with content that's updated globally whenever something occurs on the project that we need to inform the citizens about. Traditional media, we're at community events. We've walked the city with flyers. We do weekly construction alerts. Our highway advisory radio will be activated if there's any issues that occur down in downtown San Juan Capistrano. So we're being very proactive about our outreach. And this is the social media contact. So if you want to send us an email, ortegainfo@dot.ca.gov. I've given most of you a card. I'll make sure I get one to those that didn't receive one. Our dedicated website is ortega.dot.ca.gov. If you go to that website, you'll see a construction updates link on it. You can also sign up on our database. It will put you on our email blast list. And whenever any activity occurs on the bridge that requires notifications to the citizens, it will be blasted out to everybody, and there's quite a few people that have signed up to that already. We have a Facebook, so like us even if you don't like us. That way you get the updates on it, and follow us on Twitter. With the exception of a couple of occurrences, obviously when we demolish the south half, we got to close the main line. Right. And when we erect false work, there will be some closures for that. But that's a very small number of days. As far as the project goes, during the project itself, there will be no closures on the main line as a result of the work that's actually going up on the top of the bridge. Once the bridge is down and the false work is up on the sections they're building, there won't be any mainline closures. I would say a few minutes would be a good idea. Like most projects, we have done a lot of analysis. Our traffic engineers have looked at this extensively, but you don't know what you don't know until you know it. So when the project starts and we actually get into some of these closures, we'll have a much better idea, and we'll be posting that information on the project pages, and it'll go out in the email blasts. But we really don't anticipate, a huge backup on this with the detours that are available to us, at least, from the 74 side. I think it's going to go better than everybody expects. Right, and just so you know, we, as part of this project and the special provisions, there are some very hefty penalties for not opening closures when you're supposed to open them. And usually the normal scenario, they go in 10-minute increments. So if, for example, something was supposed to be open at 5, 10 after, he gets a fine. 10 after 5, he gets another fine. 20 after, he gets another fine. So, and that's part of our contingency plan also, is to make sure that the contractors have the equipment staged that they need for the what-ifs. And occasionally they happen. I'll share a scenario where we were doing pavement rehab on the South 5, and every weather forecasting agency said this is the temperature it's going to be, and so they got pretty deep into the concrete pour, and the temperature dropped another 15 degrees, and the concrete wouldn't go off. And so we had to execute a contingency plan of filling those panels with asphalt and then doing the work again the other night. So we do have contingency plans, and we try to anticipate that stuff as much as we can. Because there's never going to be any 74 closures as part of this project. I mean, Ortega Highway is its own animal in itself. There might be a rock slide or something that would cause a closure, but there's not going to be any full closures of 74 as a result of this project.